Okay, today is the day. I feel that I have to document my way through my big and scary novel so far because it's been a while since I started to work on it and I had so many struggles I can't even explain. It was a year ago, in August. I got the idea, I always wanted to write about twins. I don't know why, but I've always felt like there is potentially a lot of drama. I didn't know which kind of drama. I didn't know how I'm going to develop it, but I felt like I just want to write about twins. And something very dark and sinister and sometimes depressive. So I had that idea and I just lived with it. And 1 year ago, I decided to develop this idea, to try to find some way to express all my intuitions and reflections. Last year, I finished my previous novel, and I wanted to work on something new. I wanted my another big and challenging novel. So, I started to write these raw drafts, and I felt like I'm really developing this idea. I felt like I know my main character, more or less. I designed his twin, his house, his parents, his problems with parents and with school, and his drug addiction. I knew that my main character had to be very dark and problematic because drama. And despite that, I had half of my notebook of drafts that explained almost everything, like how my main character makes his toasts, how does he do his homework, who are his school friends, and so on. But I felt like I'm stuck. All these drafts were not helpful when I started to think about my plot as a whole picture. I didn't have this whole picture, and I felt like I'm still on the same first step despite I worked a lot. I felt demotivated. I thought that I'm not able to develop this idea and to write really interesting plot about these characters because they are so complicated and their life is so much different from my own life. Probably I thought I'm just not capable of that. I can't write about them. I'm not mature enough. I don't have that experience, like I am not a drug addict. How can I write about drug addiction? I got into crisis, and then something really interesting happened. When I was walking, I saw two guys, and they were... I'm speechless. I'm speechless. 1 second. So, two strangers. They looked exactly like my characters that I created in my head. They were about the same age that my characters. I mean, these two twins. They spoke to each other in the same way. They wore this sporty uniform that you can see on some tennis players. And then I can't say that I got the idea, but I can say that the idea got me. I suddenly realized that I'm going to write about twins that are fall in love with the same girl and she can't choose. It was one of those mysterious moments when you, for just 1 second or less, see your whole novel as a big picture. I decided that, well, this novel, this big and scary novel, gives me a lot of pain because it's so massive. Like, I had the image of my novel and I felt like it should be very massive, it should be very complicated, it should be something that I can't really grasp now. I decided that, okay, probably I can't write that big and scary novel now, but I can write a short story. Now, when I know what I'm gonna say, now when I know what are the conflict and the plot and the main idea of this story, I can make it as short as possible. So I sat down and quickly drafted an outline. Like, I just very briefly explained the main steps or parts of my novel, and it was like about 1 page. It was just a very brief representation of the plot, the conflict, like what's going on. And after that, I had the base for my short story. And only now, after 1 year of struggling with drafts and uncertainty, I finally started to write this short story. I think that my problem was that I was too scared to start writing this novel. I wanted to write it so much that it gave me so much pressure. Like, I felt like it should be ideal or my heart will be broken. So I started to make a lot of drafts about things that are not really important. Like, I wrote descriptions of the food that my main character had in his fridge. I described some characters' outfits. I described the apartment that the main character's father lived in after he got divorced. It's not important. It's not really important for my story. I shouldn't have started with all these unnecessary details. I felt like I need them, and I still need them, but when I just start to work on the project, all I need is the brief outline and a short story that contains the essence of my novel. After that, my novel is not big and scary anymore, and after that, I feel that I have space, I have some landscape that I can make more and more complicated. I can add layers, but the base comes first. So now, when I have all these problems fixed, I feel I'm free to write it till the end. I can finish this short story first, and after that I will develop it in like different directions. I know that there is a technique called snowflake. It's when you start your project with just 1 sentence and it should contain like the essence of your work, and then you develop this sentence into a paragraph, and then you develop a paragraph into a page, let's say, and so, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and you always have some base, some basic information that you can work with, and you just add details. I have half of my first draft done, and after I finish with it, I can take some time, then revise, and then I will move to developing this short story into a novel. It's much easier than writing the whole novel from the beginning, from nothing, from zero. But now I see how I can develop this short story into a big novel. Because when I started to work on this short story, I saw that I have minimum time and I have no space for all those unnecessary descriptions and details that got me stuck in the beginning. I have to jump from one main point to another main point. I just have to write everything important first, and only after that, after I have a story that consists only of really important parts, I can add unnecessary details. That was what I learned from a year struggling on my big and scary novel. That's pretty much it. Thank you for joining me today. I hope I will see you next week.